is, that it's kind of self-explanatory. It's a, giant robot fighting type thing. Usually has a lot of politics involved and a lot of action. Ecchi this is where anime garners negative attention. Ecchi is kind of a reference to pornographic type anime such as hentais and things like that. So, whenever anyone thinks of anime, how kind they think about, big boobs, big guns, big eyes, things like that. But there are multiple other genres, and the differences in the television format for Japanese anime in Japan is that they actually have time slots, whereas, it's shown like a regular television show, whereas in the United States, we have a couple different groups, such as Adult Swim, Toonami, and the anime channel that kind of garner towards the they market towards the subcult that kids watching anime nowadays. It's just a marketing. It's really a marketing schema. They'll block up a big lineup of 5 or 6 different anime shows. They'll show them later. It depends. If it's like Toonami, they'll show them like around 4 or 5, right when kids get out of school. If it's Adult Swim, they'll show it late at night when most people our age are kind of still awake and just browsing the internet or whatever. Another big issue with anime today is anime licensing and fan subs. For those who don't know what fan subs are, I'm going to assume all of y'all don't know, just for clarity. Fan subs are basically when you take an anime that's just come out in Japan and fan translate it and add your own subtitles to it, and then we'll release it on the internet. Most people do this for free. It's not really seen that people get paid to do this anymore because it's well, frankly, it's illegal. But what a lot of fan subbing organizations do is that they'll series will be really popular. They'll see a need to fan sub it. They'll fan sub it, and when it gets licensed in the U.S., they'll discontinue the distribution. So that way, they're no longer really liable by American copyright laws, which is okay. But fan subs also help to show American licensing companies what's popular now. So they'll see, something like Haruhi being distributed, which was a really popular anime from 1 or 2 years ago. And they'll say, oh, well, a lot of people really like this in the U.S. Let's bring it over here. It'll probably sell. So that's what they're doing. It's coming over to the U.S. and they do this with a lot of different animes. It used to be that fan subs were distributed on VHS cassette tape, and that you would pay a small, maybe $5 for the cost of the tape, and then you'll ship it to you. But nowadays, fan subs are distributed, via video encoding on the internet via YouTube or BitTorrent or whatever like that. It's really popular nowadays. I personally don't watch these, but I have watched Dragon Ball Z, but I don't watch Naruto or Bleach. Series are becoming extremely long-winded. Naruto and Bleach are, from what I understand, 2 5 series, and they have gone on for 8, 9. They're still going. Ridiculous amount of seasons. They're really popular, and people, I guess, get caught up in the action, and then there's long parts of fillers where there's nothing really going on. I'm sure you experience some, things like this in American television shows as well. One of the bigger important things is that anime is starting to influence other media formats. I'm pretty sure most of y'all have seen the Matrix series, right? So the Matrix was pretty anime-inspired during the production. Things like being able to stop bullets, stop time anime, stop time motion, filming, bullet time. The fight scene in the 3rd movie was very Dragon Ball Z-ish type of really high-speed action that you just don't see in conventional filming. Live action, so video games. There's a couple video game companies that are really starting to merge anime and video games together, such as Nippon Ichi, which is a company that focuses on games like Disgaea, which I'll get into that in a second. One of the big things with anime is that a lot of voice actors happen to cross their roles for doing was doing the musical, opening theme for whatever series it happens to be. A case like this would be Megumi Hayashibara. She happened to do a very large amount of voice acting work, as well as being a really popular J-pop idol. Now, as for the history of video games, an area I'm a little more versed on, I'm going to start from the third generation, which was in the 1980s. Around 1985 was the advent of the Nintendo Famicom, which is short for Family Console. It is basically the Nintendo Entertainment System, the NES in the United States. And this really ushered in a very important revival of video games during the 80s, because that was the early part of the era was seen as the great video game crash. A lot of people heard the term video game and were really turned off by it. This is why the NES is the Nintendo Entertainment System and not the Nintendo Video Game System. The Game Boy was kind of an advent for portable gaming. It was, the graphics weren't incredibly impressive for the time they were, but being able to, take a system around with you wherever you go and just, put in 4 AA batteries and, to start playing wherever you want was kind of a new idea and a kind of an alternative to a portable media format at the time. We also saw the advent of a lot of really popular franchises, such as Mario got its start during this time. Final Fantasy started as a result of Dragon Quest's popularity in Japan. So Squaresoft decided, this is the last ditch effort. Let's make a game, and it'll be our last game. Let's call it Final Fantasy. It's the final one, but it really isn't the final one. And Metal Gear also got its start this time. It really wasn't as popular back then as it is now due to limitations. They had the right idea of what they wanted to do, but it wasn't until within the last 10 years that they were able to execute it on more advanced media consoles. The fourth generation. Okay. The fourth generation saw the Sega's entrance into the industry. A lot of companies were trying to mess around with CD technology at the time, but it wasn't quite working. The TurboGrafx 16 came out at this time. Nobody probably remembers that. The Neo Geo got its start around this time, which brought around a lot of really nice fighting games. And Sonic got its start during this time. Sega moved on to the Saturn, which was kind of the advent of the fifth generation for CD technology. The Sony PlayStation started the really big video game movement because of the war with Nintendo. Nintendo wanted to release a CD-based console with Sony, but Sony turned around and said, we're going to release our own system. And Nintendo felt really screwed over, kind of, so they released the N64, a superior console, but cartridge-based limitations. Squaresoft branched off from Nintendo due to this when they wanted to release their Final Fantasy VII, which could not fit on cartridge media, so they decided to branch off to PlayStation, which was using CDs at the time. Music gaming such as Dance Dance Revolution and Beatmania 2DX also saw its birth at this time. During the sixth generation, emulation became popular, where people can download games from the Super Nintendo and play them on their computer and other systems. Sega saw its final system, the Dreamcast, at this time, which was a good system, but it kind of died off.